Is my voice clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in the last class, students, I gave a brief introduction to what we'll be doing in the entire semester. After that, I uh, gave an exercise to all of you to evaluate yourself. Before I go ahead with the topic of today, that is communication, um, I would like to discuss the remaining sentences and then we'll move to the topic of discussion. So let's begin. Let me present now a screen to you all. So just go through this slide, students, all what you have to follow while taking the class. Now let's move to the 10th slide. Yes. So let's do this question, sentence number 3. Okay. So any one of you who would like to make the, who would like to give the answer for sentence 3? Sometimes you will see an alligator lying in the sunshine on the bank 8 feet long. Is there anything you find incorrect in the sentence? कुछ गलती लग रही है आपको? बताइए.
मैम सेंटेंस समझ में नहीं आया.
क्यों नहीं समझ में आ रहा? What is the reason that you cannot understand? What is the sentence saying? Tell. What does it mean? How can you write a sentence that you understand? Revise the same sentence. How will you do that? Yes, tell me, any one of you. Yes, students. कहाँ पे नहीं समझ में आ रहा? अब इसका sentence को let's read and let's see what is the error. See, sometimes you will see an alligator. You is the subject. Let me just, okay. So this we'll copy. It's the same thing. Uh-oh. Can you all see the slide? Sometimes you will see an alligator. Sometimes it's telling you about the frequency, like at times, right? You will see an alligator. Now, which words are defining alligator, telling about alligator? What are those words?
मैम 8 feet long.
Yes. So what the words that describe, qualify, those should be placed close to that. So sometimes you will see an alligator 8 feet long. Now, what it should be? um, lying in the sunshine. Can you lie in the sunshine?
Ma'am, lying on the bank of sunshine.
Yes. Lying on the bank. Lying on the bank. And where? In what's it is describing lying on the bank? In the sunshine. Now is it okay? Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to those words and phrases like here 8 feet long describes about this alligator. That alligator is how long? It is 8 feet long. Put it close to that verb. Now, lying, can anybody lie on the sunshine? No, you can do something in the sunshine. You can lie on the bank, right? So, lying on the bank in the sunshine. This makes sense. Now, next, students. He visited the battlefield where Napoleon was defeated in his holidays. Now,
Ma'am,
what
he
does
visited the battlefield in his holidays where Napoleon was defeated.
okay? Now he visited the battlefield, right? In his holidays. What are you saying? See, here in his holidays is telling about the subject he, right? It is telling about the subject he. So you can use this as an introductory remark, right? If you write where in his the battlefield, where in his holidays Napoleon was defeated, again it was followed by Napoleon and it does not make sense because we all know that this in his holidays is telling about, informing about this person, about the subject he. So what we should do, it is an introductory phrase. In his holidays, what did he do? He visited the battlefield. Then there you have a relative clause C, which is joining a relative pronoun hai, where it is telling about the battlefield where Napoleon was. This where is describing about the battlefield, right? Are you following my point? So where Napoleon was defeated, that's it. Got it? So write sentences that make sense. In his holidays, he visited the battlefield where Napoleon was defeated. Now look at, now tell me this about,
Ma'am,
hmm,
ma'am, can we use this? He visited the battlefield in his holidays where Napoleon was defeated.
okay, now see, you are telling about, yes, now see, he visited the battlefield in his holidays. So this in his holidays, you are referring to subject, you should place it close with the subject. He in his holidays, right? Visited the battlefield. All right. Now he visited the battlefield, the object will come, the battlefield in his holidays. So that doesn't make sense. It again builds ambiguity. It becomes unclear. When in his holidays you're referring to the subject, place it close to the subject. Who in his holidays? He in his holidays. He in his holidays visited the battlefield where Napoleon was defeated. ये एपोजिशन में है, ये इस ही के बारे में बता रहा है, तो उसको उसके क्लोज रखिए, नहीं तो अगर आप कहेंगे ही विजिटेड द बैटल फील्ड इन हिज हॉलीडेज, अगेन इट बिकम्स अनक्लियर. ओके, अब इसी तरह ये देखिए, ही किल्ड द स्पैरो, ही इज द सब्जेक्ट, killed is the verb, thus, and what did he killed? The sparrow. Now which was eating some crumbs? So who was eating the crumbs? This object, you know, the sparrow, it is describing which was eating some crumbs. If now this C with a gun, is it rightly placed?
No, ma'am.
Can the sparrow eat crumbs with a gun?
No,
No.
ma'am.
So who killed the sparrow which was eating the crumbs with a gun? He, right? So with a gun, he killed the sparrow which was eating some crumbs. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
आपने prepositional phrase पहले लगा दिया, उससे clarity आ गई. With a gun, ये prepositional phrase हो गया. You begin a sentence with a gun. He kills the sparrow. Got it? Now, next. अब ये ध्यान से देखिए students. The constable said that the prisoner seizing का मतलब बताइए क्या होता है? Tell me. और bolster का क्या मतलब होता है? Prisoner का क्या मतलब होता है? जल्दी से बताइए students.
सीजिंग का मतलब अधिकार.
Yes. क्या चीज? आई डिड नॉट सीज, मतलब किसी चीज को अपने गिरफ्त में ले लेना, अपने पकड़ लेना उसको, राइट? सो द कांस्टेबल समझ में आ गया? सेड, नाउ द कांस्टेबल सेड दैट द प्रिजनर सीजिंग अ बोल्स्टर. अब इज बोल्स्टर फुल ऑफ रेज एंड फ्यूरी और इज द प्रिजनर फुल ऑफ रेज एंड फ्यूरी? ये तो डिस्क्राइब कर रहा है ना ये वर्ड, फुल ऑफ रेज एंड फ्यूरी. रेज और फ्यूरी का मतलब आप लोग समझते हैं? व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रेज एंड फ्यूरी? एंगर, an uncontrollable anger. Rage means uncontrollable anger. Fury, force. So with uncontrollable anger and force had knocked the prosecutor down. So students, is the bolster, क्या bolster जो चीज है जिससे उसने उसको मारा, is that full of rage and fury or the prisoner is full of rage and fury? Tell me. Tell me students. What is full of rage and fury? बताइए. Prisoner, right? Am I right or wrong? Give response students. So what will be the right answer? इससे छोटा हो जा रहा है. It's more than 8 sentences. So I'll write it in the next slides, students. Okay. Okay. So what will I do? Let me just, आप लोगों को screen दिख रही है? Let me know. This
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
और ये समझ
Yes,
में आ रहा है
ma'am.
आप? Okay, fine. Now revise देखिए. The constable is clear said what that the prisoner. Now the prisoner was full of rage and fury, right, students? So it is telling you that the prisoner. अब आप prisoner के बारे में बता रहे हैं. Full of rage and fury, seizing a bolster, had knocked the prosecutor down. Now let's do this sentence. Who will do? This is very easy. ध्यान से पढ़िए. A nursemaid is wanted. Nursemaid is the subject, is wanted is the verb, is wanted for a baby about 20 years old. What does the sentence mean? A nursemaid is wanted. What is the age of the baby? What is the age of the baby? And what is the age of the nurse? Who is about 20 years old?
Ma'am, nurse maid.
So where should about 20 years old be written? Close to the subject. Am I right? And what is the subject?
A nurse maid.
Yes. So how we will write this sentence? Say, repeat the revised version.
Ma'am, about 20 years old, a nurse maid is wanted for a baby.
Yes, that is right. And as I said, this prepositional phrase you can begin, or here you may even write like a nursemaid, right? Very right. About 20 years old. So this is an apposition. ये क्या है? It is in apposition. It is telling about the nurse's thing, right? यहाँ पे देखिए, it is in his holidays place with an object, right? And now it is the quality of the nursemaid. A nursemaid about 20 years old is wanted for a baby. Now the sentence makes sense. Is that okay? Is that okay? Again,
Yes, ma'am.
अब ये वाला भी आप लोग कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स. इट्स वेरी इजी. करिए, आप लोग करिए. आई विल नॉट डू इट. प्लीज टेल मी द आंसर. I spent the 3 last days of my holiday in a chair with a swollen leg. Who has got a swollen leg? किसका swollen leg है? Who has got the swollen leg? Chair or I?
I.
Then what will be the sentence? Tell me. With a swollen leg, I spent the 3 last days of my holiday in a chair. Or with a swollen leg, I spent the 3 last days of my holiday in a chair. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, do the sentence. There will be a meeting of all boys who play cricket and football in the long room at 4 o'clock. What is the place?
Ma'am, ma'am,
Yes.
at 4 o'clock there will be a meeting of all boys who play cricket and football. Mm.
So football is
Yes, ma'am.
from where it is the place and the time. In the long room at 4 o'clock, there will be meeting of all boys. This who play cricket and football, it is telling about boys, na? So why in the long room will be follow football, right? Am I right or wrong? Do you follow? In the long room at 4 o'clock, it is telling about the meeting, right? So this prepositional phrase tells about the meeting. Okay, so you will write it in the beginning of a sentence. Introduce, tell, inform. In the long room at 4 o'clock, what will be there? There will be a meeting of all boys who play cricket and football. Who play cricket and football?
Ma'am, boys.
That's it. Got it? Now the last one is very easy. It is proposed to construct a bath for males 99 feet long. 19 feet long is describing what?
Ma'am, construction of a bath.
Yes. So where it should be written? Close to bath. It is proposed to construct a bath how 19 feet long for males. So this order of words you have to keep in mind while you are writing sentences. The words, the phrases that describe a certain noun or action should, which modify the sentence, should be kept close to that verb. If you write it away from that word, they make no sense. Is that okay? Now, shall I proceed further? Now I'm going to, oh, sorry. Am I still presenting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this will be lecture 1. And these are the points you have to keep in mind, kids to remember. And now my question to all of you, as we are doing communicative English, the word communicative has its roots in the word communication, right? So I just uh, want you all to read the definitions given here of communication. So the word is derived from Latin word communis and communicare. And as you see, the definition as given by Robert Anderson, communication is the interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or signs. This first definition given by Robert Anderson informs us that people can exchange their views, information with each other through speech, writing, or through signs. And when they do so, this is this process is called communication. They're conveying, they're interacting, they're speaking, they're talking about the thoughts, about the views, what they have with one another. To do so, they need a medium of language. And as I discussed in the previous class, that we will be using English as a medium of language. We would look at the nitty-gritties of the English language so that we emerge as effective speakers and writers. Keeping that in mind, we should understand that whenever we are communicating, we are interacting, we want to share our views with the other person. And the other person, and for the other person to understand well, our delivery or our writing should be simple, it should be clear, and it should be meaningful. We have just now done an exercise where the order of the words were this the order of words was disturbed, due to which the sentences were incoherent, the sentences were meaningless, the the meaning of the sentence was nonsensical. So to avoid being a laughing stock, we should pay attention while we are constructing a sentence so that we convey our thoughts in an impactful manner to an audience. Let's move to the next slide. It is a simple diagram which shows that communication is a process and there are three components involved, that is a sender, medium, and a receiver. From the terms itself, the meaning is somewhat clear. A sender is the one who sends the message to the receiver, and medium is the channel through which that message is transported to the receiver, and receiver is the second person involved in the process of communication who, on receiving the message, understands, interprets, analyzes, and finally gives the feedback, finally gives the response to the sender. Hence, this way, the communication takes place between the two individuals. Now, for communication to take place, it is necessary that both sender and receiver share common language, because language is a tool of communication. We all know before language, people were communicating with the help of signs, and till date, we do communicate with signs. At times, students, when we want to appreciate something, we raise a thumbs up, or when we want to, uh, when we feel victorious, we form a V sign with our first two fingers. The index and the middle finger we use to form a V sign that reflects victory. Similarly, when we feel bad or disagree, we put a thumbs down. When a thumb is facing downwards and fist upward, that sign means that we dislike or disagree with something. So what I mean to say that till date we use sign language, but since um, there is we have language as a tool of communication, it helps in sharing our views, our thoughts, our ideas with other individuals in a more clear and effective manner. Right? At the same time, when we I talk about medium, the channel that is being used by the sender, it is equally important that the medium is noise free. In communication, noise means barriers. Noise means interruption that hinders the smooth flow of communication between the sender and a receiver. For example, students, if you are talking to your friend and all of a sudden there is signal drop and your calls disconnect, what happens? Your communication stops. Though you have the message, you want to communicate, you want to convey it to the receiver, receiver is eager to listen to you, what you have in your mind. He is looking forward to hearing from you, but due to signal drop, you cannot, due to network issues, due to connectivity issues, you are unable to have a conversation with the sender. So, for the process of communication, to convey your thought, it is essential that medium is noise free. Now, in detail, we will see the 6 steps in the process of communication, and it is very essential because if we understand the importance of sender, of receiver, and of medium while communicating, we can become effective communicators. As each of the component plays a vital role for effective communication. How? We will see through the six steps, through these six steps in the process of communication. Now, the first, it talks about the sender. The sender is the one who's the message creator, who is the initiator of the conversation. So what happens? A sender has an idea. He thinks something in his mind. Now, when a sender thinks something's in his mind, what is his obligation? What he's supposed to do? He is supposed to articulate that idea into a meaningful sentence so that when he passes that through a medium, whether it is oral, whether it is or written or sign, it is understood in the same vein as suggested by the sender. So the first important step in the process of communication is that a sender should, after that sender should compile his or her idea in a meaningful manner. And how meaningfulness can be obtained? When it is accurate, it is brief, and it is having the complete and clear understanding. For example, students, at times, all of a sudden, when you are asked any question, like always surprise tests have been a failure in comparison to announced tests. Why? Because you are not familiar, you are not thorough, you are not aware. So it is first, it is essential that when you have an idea, encode it, that what is the, what do you want to say, what you want to talk about, what is your viewpoint, and for the reader, for the receiver to understand what is being said, it is equally important for the sender to say it simply and clearly. After doing so, sender uses the right medium or channel to transfer his or her thought to the receiver. And then receiver receives the message. After receiving the message, the receiver decodes the message. What does decode means? Comprehends, understands, analyzes, interprets. And after doing so, the receiver gives the response to the message. And then the receive, and what is that response called? Feedback. So what we get, this is this diagrammatic view. The sender encodes the message, passes it through a medium that should be sensibly selected. If the message is confidential and you are using a digital medium, for example, email, you should be careful that you check the name of recipient to whom you are sending. Also, check that you are not attaching the name of other members as it is a confidential file. If by mistake you attach the other recipients' addresses, it will create problems and it will become it is an error, a blunder, right? So selection of medium should be done with intelligence, should be done judiciously. If it is, for example, again, for example, if it is, if the message is for general uh, employees, it is passing of rules and regulations. It is you want to inform about the new rules, new regulations, and new policies, and you select a medium which is inappropriate. For example, you put a notice instead of sending emails to all the employees. There may be a chance that a few may go through that notice and a few may not. To avoid this confusion, it is essential that a medium should be used, for example, email, where all the recipients are available. You have the address of all the recipients, and then you send the general mail to all the employees. Okay, so this is very important that the medium is selected wisely. Further, after receiving the message, the receiver should decode the message. How's decoding? Reads the message carefully, understands, analyzes, interprets, and then finally gives the feedback to the sender. In this way, you see it is a cyclic process and it alternates between sender and receiver. So it is a two-way process. Then, if there are two persons involved, and when there is feedback, the cycle of communication gets completed. Therefore, it is said that it is cyclic in nature, it is a two-way process, it should be conducted, the communication should be done in a conducive, in a favorable environment. For example, a sender conveys, has to convey a confidential matter to a receiver, and she shares that confidential information when he is standing with a group of people by saying it aloud or by calling him, by asking him to step aside from that bunch of people and then sharing. In both the situations, it is awkward because that is not the right time. In the situation one, if the speaker says it aloud, then all know about the confidential information. And in the second situation, if the sender asks the receiver to take excuse from his group of friends and tell him separately, then also the others get curious and it is a matter of raising eyebrows. Both the situations are not appropriate in business environment. To share a confidential information, it should be done separately in a separate room at proper time, in a proper venue, so that discussion and deliberation takes place over the issue, so that the important details can be discussed, so that the shortcomings can be talked about, so that both the sender and receiver can discuss at length. Hence, it is essential that when the process of communication initiates, the environment should be favorable. Okay. Now, here, students, I would quickly like you all to go through this slide. Now, encoding, about sender encodes an idea. Encoding is organizing your thoughts and ideas in a meaningful manner. This I just discussed. Articulation or construction. While articulation means, or construction of an idea means, while while constructing sentences or ideas, whatever you feel, select the appropriate words that can describe a situation in the best manner. This is one part, that you have to select the appropriate words that can describe a situation in the best manner. And second, the sentence should be meaningful. What? Sentence should be meaningful. And there are syntactical word order कहते हैं. Sentence So for that, students, according to English grammar rule, subject comes before the verb, which comes before the object. So most of the sentence conform to subject verb object order. Let's look at this. Let's look at these. Let's look at these sentences. I am reading a book. So I is the subject. Verb is I'm reading. And what are you reading? I am reading a book. Students, here I would like to mention that a sentence is this a sentence? Tell me. It is, because you stop. You is the subject and this is a verb. You stop. And when? Where do you stop? You stop there. You stop on the line. You stop writing. You stop talking. So what we see, you stop. Stop is itself a sentence. And when you stop there, stop at that place. Just telling you, you stop on the line, you stop writing, you stop talking. So this all tells you on adding, this is telling you about, this is telling you about what? Telling you more about what to stop. It is a gerund, verb plus ing. Okay? So it is very important, students, that I am reading. What are you reading? A book. They play. What do they do? They play cricket. Do you have a pencil? Do you have? It's a question. Do you, auxiliary, you have a pencil? If you say you have a pencil, it is not a question, interrogative question. No. And that the order is changed. The verb comes before the subject. Is it you? Were they waiting for you? Are you well? Yes, I am well. Okay? The sales have increased by 20% in this quarter of the year. The sales, subject, have increased how much? By 20% in this quarter of the year. Question: can you tell me about the increase in the quarterly sales of the year? So you have to be careful that when you're writing imperative sentences like here, if you have to be polite, please stop, please tell, courteous, or you're writing other sorts of sentences, interrogative, assertive, or exclamatory, there should be a subject, verb, object, order. Okay, so this is here I will going to end, because from medium I'm going to take it in the next class. Okay, students, a lot is left. We'll be doing it in the next class. So any doubts here? Any doubts? Any
No,
problem?
ma'am.
Any problem in under uh, in understanding my accent or slides? Please let me know.